Hello, everyone. See, we have about 36 viewers. We're live. Not sure if you guys can hear me. Um, Hopefully you can. All right, well, hoping everyone can hear me okay. This is our first time trying this with Google. We're utilizing everything kind of for the first time here. First off, let me start by saying welcome. I'd like to start out by saying thank you for coming to view, as well as thank you for being either investors or prospective investors. One of the things that sometimes gets mistaken, I've heard the comments several times that it doesn't seem like we care about the investors. That is not at all the case. The reality is I know that I speak for both myself and the other board members. We take the responsibility of each and every one of you guys who has put your hard-earned money into our company very seriously, because that is what drives us, that's what motivates us to do the absolute best that we can, because quite frankly, that shows that you have faith in us, faith in what we do, faith in where we're going, and we take that responsibility seriously. Obviously, the comic book phrase, with great power comes great responsibility, springs to mind, but the reality is that it's a truth that we each of us carry with us. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for your belief in us, and thank you for coming. Start out by saying that, yeah, we just got back from Comic-Con. I'm a little groggy because it's been over a couple months of just flying back and forth across the country, ending and culminating with Comic-Con, which is always one of the most stressful and exhausting weeks of the year. Literally, it requires getting up around 6 a.m. and then immediately getting ready, going there, setting up for the day, and coming back to the house we rent, which, yeah, this year we had so many people, it was actually two houses, not in one of them, especially not in one of the most nice areas, to say the least, but we're trying to cut costs. Whenever a single bed hotel can run about $1,500 a week, us finding housing where we can cram, well, we had 8 people, for instance, in just one of the houses, or 9 people, excuse me, 9 people in just one of the houses alone. That's a way for us to cut costs, and you know, we're talking, I think, like $3,000 for 9 people. So we take it very seriously, spending every dime carefully, because our goal is what's happening in November, which I'll speak to here in just a minute. We've had a highly successful comic convention. It's quite funny to see that we were photobombing Marvel this year with the word free comics in the background and Red Giant as a prominent logo right there. Not that we meant to, but it was quite amusing nonetheless. But more importantly, we had a large number of meetings that occurred there. To put this into perspective, a lot of the deals that are coming through now, a lot of the setup that's coming to fruition now began, well, last year at last year's Comic-Con. The Diamond deal, and so forth. Those meetings and everything occur there, and San Diego Comic-Con is a necessity. Very expensive and time-consuming and nerve-wracking event, but it is one that is highly successful. Just once we can talk about just some of the deals that will be coming out of this, I think you will all agree. Same thing with E3. We do not set up a booth at E3. As you know, last month I was at E3. The Bandai deal was basically set up there, but it began the year before. So these things sometimes take a year to pull everything together, but the Bandai Namco definitely was us sitting across from the right people and setting that up, and we couldn't be happier with working with them. They're a great group of people. It was, you don't expect large corporations to necessarily treat you as having the value that they do at our stage, and yet they see and they understand what it is we're doing and what we bring to the market. And I for one am incredibly happy to be working with them. There's just always a lot that's going on that you don't see. I don't like to try and talk about maybe type of things or blow a lot of smoke. A lot of times that's why you guys will see things that come to fruition. They're verified, there's a contract in place, or at least a letter of intent with a contract coming quickly behind it. For instance, with Bandai, we wanted to be able to announce, and they wanted to be able to announce prior to San Diego our relationships. We put that in place while legal is just, all of the terms are set and agreed upon. It's simply a matter for our very first offering with them. It's simply a matter of going with the paperwork. So I expect that either later this week, tomorrow, or early next week. We should hopefully see that, and we don't expect much in the way of revisions or anything. We've already gone through all of those negotiations. The Bandai Namco deal, just to jump into that one, as a for instance, it's an initial agreement to produce initially one property, which we'll announce here shortly, but it's a quick mobile app that game that will be coming out tentatively as soon as this Christmas season. So, and it will be on one of our major properties. It's kind of a crawl, walk, run scenario with them. And there are some other deals in the works, many deals in the works with them that we'll talk about as soon as we can. All of it very exciting, very, very exciting. And we didn't exactly anticipate at this stage. So we're kind of ahead of the game on that front. The other thing, obviously, even to give you kind of a rundown of just even the past couple months. When I say we're running, me especially, I'm running all over. I literally was in New York at the end of May with Toys R Us to finalize that deal, and then came back home to Orlando, Florida area for a week, or week or two. Did a bunch of stuff here, did a lot of final stuff, then had to go out to LA for E3 for a week. Had some other meetings out there while at E3. Flew back to Orlando in and was here for a couple of weeks, during which time got married. Little elopement to which some of you guys have figured out. Our production director, Jenna, was Jenna Jones, now Jenna Powell, is just kind of nothing like keeping it in the family a little bit. Certainly not nepotism, but certainly helpful to have her by my side as we're navigating stuff. And then immediately running right back to New York to finalize some more stuff at Toys R Us, coming back, then going out to LA for a round of a week of meetings, where multiple meetings every day with studios and production houses and other stuff on the movie side, and straight from LA right down to San Diego, and setting all of that up, and now we're back. So again, it's back and forth and back and forth. Again, too early to really talk about the other movie stuff that's going on, but to give you guys an idea, overall, the movie studios and production houses and everything are incredible. We've got, it's not really like us coming and saying, hey, please look at our stuff. It's a completely different animal. They're aware of us, aware of who we are, what we're doing. They love it. They love the free book line. They think it's an amazing concept, as do we. And they're behind it. So there will be a lot of opportunities for further development on that front. There's some other unexpected deals that will be coming out. We'll be announcing shortly as well. That's kind of interesting, but very, very cool. So definitely stay tuned. For further announcements on that. Needless to say, incredibly busy. Really just gearing up for the launch. Toys R Us was one of the big announcements. I don't know that everyone fully understands what this does for our company. We didn't want to do just through the comic stores, because really that's a little bit like preaching to the choir. And part of our goal is to reach a broader audience, as well as bring in more readers into comic books. We've seen that comic book movies, for instance, have a wide acceptance. People love them. There literally is no greater genre of profitability in films than the comic book adaptation. Meanwhile, a top-selling comic book at any of the other publishers will sell 100,000 units, and that's industry-wide. I mean, we did have Walking Dead, I think, did like 300,000 units, but that was a special. So those kind of specials are just blips. They're not standard. On standard, 100,000 units. And that is really down from whenever, even when, back when I was working at Marvel, the top 10 selling books were over 500,000 per month circulation. So it's 1/5 what that was. And even that was down half of what it was 5 years prior to that. And we're talking, the early 90s. So the readership overall has dropped. Comic book store readership, they estimate to be around 250,000 people. Us doing 1 million books a week would mean we have to find a source of readership outside of the comic book stores. We can drive new readers to the comic book stores, but not a million. And we always knew this. So we were talking to numerous outlets. We had several different people and outfits who were interested, all of which were very big, all of which kind of want exclusive outside of the comic book store. And we ended up going with Toys R Us. Toys R Us made a lot of sense for a lot of different reasons. For one, they want to be a true partner, not just simply, okay, we'll take them and we'll throw them out there and whatever, we don't care. No, they look at this as a real marketing opportunity. They understand the value of what we're doing, what we're bringing in, and that appeals to us greatly, because then we're not dealing with something where we feel like we're on shaky ground. Further, it also allows us the ability to reach a wider demographic. If we were in just a video game store, for instance, our advertisers would be looking at more just video game centric type of things, and while we could fill out a large percentage, we wanted to hit a bigger audience. Toys R Us, meanwhile, brings in video games. Even we are in the video games section, so if you go to the video games section in any Toys R Us, that's where it would be, and I'll explain how that works in just a minute. But they also, people don't necessarily think about this, Toys R Us also sells apparel. They sell sporting goods, bicycles, skateboards, baseball bats, etc. They sell toys, obviously. They also sell movies. As well as snack foods. All of these sort of things become potential advertisers, as well as a wider demographic than if we were just at a standard video game store. This also allows us, on the flip side, it also allows us easier access to or expansion into each of those markets. So there are bigger ramifications. It also will cost us a lot less to go with Toys R Us. For one thing, they have their own trucks. Some of the other people we were talking to utilize UPS or FedEx or other delivery mechanisms, whereas Toys R Us, we literally can just go on their trucks. So we deliver our stuff to one point, and as we understand it currently, it then from there goes out on the trucks, and it's a lot less expensive. So there are just so many positives to working with Toys R Us. Plus, most importantly, they're really great guys. We love working with them. They're enthusiastic about everything. How it will work is for the Toys R Us, first off, for the Diamond model, every Wednesday, a box of 50, boxes of 50 will go through Diamond out as normal with their weekly comic books. And they're used however the retailers see fit. And this is important because we don't want to dictate to the retailers how they use their product, how they use this marketing. We do want to work with them and support them, but we do not want to dictate to them, because every comic book store has their own clientele, their own market, and we simply want to support them, because we are firm believers in the brick and mortar aspect of the comic book stores. Further, now they will get, through Diamond, the comic book stores will get one version of the comic book, which will have its own cover. For the Toys R Us version, we will have an exclusive Toys R Us cover, as well as a nice little slug. But most importantly, And this is one of the best things for both Toys R Us as well as us, for where we don't have any hiccups in distribution. We are the bag that they use for their merchandise. So we have a co-branded bag with both Red Giant and Toys R Us that already has our comic inserted at the factory, which was part of my China trip. Way back in February, setting all of this up. So this has been a long time coming. We knew that this was coming, so we have our partnership with Active Media, which you guys probably know my connection there, and my partners over in China have that all set up to where literally new machinery is being acquired for the specific purpose of inserting books into the bags for delivery. So initially, November, December, more than half of the books will go through Toys R Us because that is their peak time. Then we'll adjust those numbers as we move forward. This means that whenever anyone goes into the Toys R Us video game section, the bag that they receive their merchandise in already has the Red Giant comic in it. So it's free with purchase. And that's important as well because advertisers don't want us to be like the penny saver, where it's picked up, thrown away, or whatever. They want to know that the people who are getting the comics are consumers. This provides value to the book by doing that. We also encourage the retailers for the comic book side to have it that way, but again, we don't require it. These are just some of the facets to why both of these recent announcements, and those are just some of the announcements that we have in the works. Obviously, there are contracts going back and forth on the other fronts, and as soon as we have those available to announce, we will. But hopefully, you guys see that whenever I make a statement that, hey, we've got big news or there are big things in the works, we don't exaggerate. This was a vital component to what we're doing. Now just to jump into some of you guys' questions. I see here there were a lot of questions about Last Blood. Last Blood is, there's a lot of movement on Last Blood. I can't really get into it too much. You guys do know some of it. Some of it has leaked. There's certainly a lot of good and positive movement there. A lot of times what happens with a lot of these negotiations and things on contracts and getting the right actors and getting the right stuff, because you've got finance people who have to approve the actors, and then actors have to have the right timing, and it's a little bit like trying to herd cats into a bag. It's not as easy as it sounds. You would think you could simply go, okay, we've got the money, now let's go hire the guys, but there's always like a lot of back and forth. The positive thing is that everyone's excited about it. We do have a script, we do have a director, we do have an FX guy, we do have all of the other components in place. We've got some distribution stuff coming up, so everything is going really well on it. I can't tell you how anxious I am to see stuff. So knock on wood, all of these things are getting close to the finish line. It is a full-length production. That's one of the questions. Can't really verify the cast yet. That will be an official announcement, so look for that. And is it coming to a theater near us in the future? Yeah, that's the goal. That's always a goal. You definitely always want theatrical release. Okay, looks like I've got a lot of questions about um, financing. This is probably one of the bigger questions. So I'll try and sum it up here. Yes, we have had to take out some notes. There's no two ways about it. It wasn't something we wanted. We haven't been, using it. iDrive, for instance, I 2007 Sentra, and well, technically my wife drives a 2000 Sentra, and I have a 2003 or something like that Pacifica I got used. Both were paid off, and and when I say used, it was like $6 grand. Not using any of the company money for things like that. We're not blowing and going. We're spending I use Priceline to book things. Priceline, cheaptickets.com, Cheapo Air. We're spending every dime so meticulously and carefully. Hopefully you see that's reflected in the queues. Not, flying and having caviar in the sky or crazy stuff. It's all going to a lot of the costs as well. Basically, go into, and you can see this again in the financials. A lot of the costs go into the maintenance of being an FCC company. It's very expensive. The legal fees, which can run around 10 grand a month, and the auditors, the CPA, the financial people. Every time we do an 8K or a Q, every time we issue PR, all of these functions that are necessary for being a publicly traded company, they're very expensive, and that money has to come from somewhere, sadly. Meanwhile, as well, we have production that has to take place on all these books. On most of our books, we're on to issue 3. We have to be that far ahead for the production cycle. For us to launch in November, which is our goal, we definitely want to have a far enough in advance. That being said, knock on wood, with our most recent stuff, our goal is to try to not take any more note-based stuff. We have existing notes out there with like tranches and everything, and that's really it. But again, those are all already in place. For the most part, the only thing is moving forward, and this has always been our goal. Instead, what we plan moving forward is to utilize the sales from the advertising. What we do is something called factoring. It's kind of a term used. So, for instance, the way factoring works is it's based on our receivables. So we have, through Chris Longo, advertisers signed up. These are A-list advertisers. They pay their bills, but they're on a net term. Well, we don't want, rather than us taking out more loans or things like that, what we can do instead is we can take a large percentage of that money now, and a factoring source gives us that money now, and then the money, once it comes in net, they get the full amount. So let's say it's 5, 10, whatever it is, being percentage off. Haven't gone out to negotiate that yet, but we will very shortly. Just spoke to Chris Longo. It could be as early as next week that we'll begin factoring some of our advertisers, and we can make announcements on who those advertisers are. So we have verbal and very firm commitments on a large number. It looks as if we will reach self-sustaining at the very least within the next couple of weeks. So that's an important milestone to pass, and then everything from then on, and that's even with factoring, and then everything from then on is gravy. So that's the current report as of, I think it was 2 hours ago, with Chris Longo. So some very big name advertisers, some very surprising and pleasing advertisers who are coming on board, people that I'm a fan of. So we're excited by all of this. We have until around mid-September to lock up everything for November's books for advertising. And then it's every week after that for the week going out. We do have some plenty of backup plans and stuff just in case, but everything seems to be on track and working out quickly. We also are looking at bringing on even more personnel on the ad sales side, so we're further supporting that. I know that for myself, I've cleared my slate for August for the specific purpose that if I'm needed at a moment's notice, I'm there to support the advertising. I myself have done advertising sales nationwide, so you know, again, that's part of my background. So I will eagerly jump back into that if necessary. So we're not trying to dilute. Dilution has never been our goal. I know that it's a lot of companies out there. It's a scary thing. It's not never been a goal of ours. Unfortunately, what happens when the price of the stock goes down, these notes that would have been very cheap when we first got them are now very expensive, which then feeds further the mechanism of dilution, and it's kind of a spiral and sucks. But that being said, every dime has been used to get us to where we are. It took us a little longer to get here than we hoped. You know, when you have negotiations with large corporations, it can take a while, but it was necessary for us to get all of these components in place in order to do this up correctly. We now have all of that in place. So all of the pieces of the puzzle are here, and everything's looking good. Someone's asking about reverse split. There are currently no plans for any reverse splits. Certainly not at this price, certainly not at this structure. It's not something that's really on our radar. So, you know, let's see. A lot of questions about with Red Giant Media. Red Giant Media was founded by Eisen Robbins and Amy Schuff. So there's a connection there. Obviously, the word Red Giant was inspired by that. So there certainly is a relationship, but we kind of, Red Giant Entertainment has, in a sense, taken over a lot of the responsibilities and everything for all of our own produced properties. Let's see. I'm looking for stuff I haven't already covered. Do we plan on extending the giant size line to the UK and European readers? or are they condemned to the belated digital versions only? Um, what we will do, I can say this, is there won't just be digital versions. So the plan is that, let's say week 1, Giant Size Action comes out, November week 1. We are working on a, we will announce this shortly, but basically there will be digital versions of the books. I'll explain that a little bit later when we can talk about it. That globally people will have access to, like right after they come out from the print versions here. But as we collect a story arc, whether it be 4, 5, 6 issues of like Wayward Sons and Tesla, those then will be collected into trade papers, and those trade paperbacks then will be sold globally, and that's through our partner Diamond, who sells across the globe. We are also, we have a relationship with Boom for Europe for translations, and we've got even some Chinese companies and Japanese companies have approached us about doing them in Chinese and Japanese and things like that. So there will be availability in multiple markets across the globe. I'd love also to work with someone in South America and the Spanish and Latin communities if we can make it work. Someone asks, in December, I said I will not sell less than until it reaches $1. At the time, there were 1 billion shares. Now it's over 2 billion. Does your target price still stand at $1? Please explain. Yes, actually. $1 was thrown out there for me personally as something that I wouldn't consider selling any of my shares at. Still haven't, you can see I haven't sold a single share. Not even exercised options, which a little bit of a ticking time bomb on taxes on those, and those are different. So, but as far as shares go, no, I wouldn't consider for anything less than $1 personally. And I still don't. I honestly don't even know if I'd sell it at $1. I'm not. I have never looked at this as a company that I'm building for me to make money right now and be out. That's never been my goal. My goal is to build a company that can stand the test of time, that can continue as a legacy for my children and my children's children and everyone here on down. This is a passion for me. This is something that I've been looking at and developing and building for quite some time, putting all the pieces together. This isn't some fly-by-night. This is not a hobby business. I've seen that comment thrown around. I work easily, on average, 18 hours a day on this company, and only this company. I've had to actually turn over my other company, Active Media, to other people to manage because it was dying, because I had zero time to devote to any of its activities, because literally this has consumed everything. I haven't even had a honeymoon with my wife. Instead, we're working nonstop because she's as passionate about this business as I am. All of the directors are. This is our business. This is not our hobby. You guys matter to us so much. So, can we elaborate? revenue projections. I know you're not fond of discovering revenues. No, revenue projections. Again, we don't like to make projections, and that's because you know, it's not about just the legality of it, but more importantly, it's about us making certain that what we put out is always going to be factual, not conjecture, not sky in the pie in the sky type of stuff. If we say something, we want you guys to be able to count on it. You know, that's why we didn't really put out an official release date. We put out, you know, we might occasionally, and even then, I was not a big fan of making those statements until we knew for certain when we were going to be able to launch. Let's see. Someone's asking on movie details. We do have some announcements coming up soon from Magica as well, Wayward Sons, so stay tuned on that. There's some other things in the works we'll tell you guys about as soon as we can. Let's see. Accomplishments were made at the June 26th American Libraries Association in Vegas, okay, the ALA. We sent a couple of our guys there. The ALA is extremely happy with us. A lot of our existing books, as well as upcoming books, such as Medusa's Daughter, which we have a large stock ready. As soon as they make the rounds, there's like a 6-month gap between when they go into the catalogs and then they have to order and all that sort of stuff. So again, these conferences that happen now often have ramifications months and months and months from now. But what was important was to educate them on Medusa's Daughter, which is it's a very unique property, for instance, where you have 5 different versions of the same story. We have a novel version that's printed both for the comic stores with a dust cover, as well as the libraries, or the comics and the bookstores, as well as a library edition. Then you also have the graphic novel that's printed both ways, and then you also have an illustrated story, an illustrated thing, which is kind of a buy 2 get 1 free type of deal. So this really entices both the libraries and the schools, especially, to purchase these as sets. And that's all being worked out right now with Diamond Books, who's handling all of the distribution. But we did have a strong showing there for that. Additionally, they're fans of Wayward Sons, because Wayward Sons has a lot of educational components to it. It delves in mythologies and the classics and things like that. So once again, both libraries and teachers are strongly supporting Wayward Sons. Tesla upcoming, and Wayward Sons, and all of these as the graphic novels come out. They're hungry for all of this content. All of the stuff that we do, they're ready for. When can we expect the Murphy report? The last I saw, there were just we had asked for some factual stuff. We had asked them to kindly wait on the Murphy report until some of the recent news came out, and we came back from San Diego. So that will likely be coming out shortly. What is the status of obtaining a larger office and warehouse facility? Well, as you guys know, we're trying to be fiscally responsible. So while we could go get a place and things like that, we made the decision that it would be better to spend those resources of $3,000 to $6,000 a month instead. And plus, you know, outfitting and utilities and all of this sort of stuff, could easily be $10, $20 or $20,000 a month. When the revenue is coming in and we need those facilities and things like that, then we'll do that. In the meantime, we've converted offices. As you can see, I've got an office here. It's a rather big office. Dave has a several thousand square foot office as well, where he's got several employees over there. I've got myself and two others here. Then we've got offices in New York and LA, but these are not costing the company any money, and that's the important thing. You want to be responsible. Let's see. Any surprise new team members joining Red Giant anytime soon? Both creatively, we do have some names who will be joining us. We'll be making announcements on that shortly, and we do have some other big news coming, which we'll be filing info on quite shortly as well. We're anxious to get back above 1% to remove the pink stats. Absolutely. It annoys us that we're priced where we are. Obviously, we're not trying to sell. That's not our goal. It would be nice because it would also help stop the dilution to a large degree. So yeah, we'd love to be back on the QB, and if we can manage to get up above $5, which is our long-term goal, we'd love to be on the NASDAQ. We feel that's where we will belong in years to come. Let's see. What are the costs for printing and distribution? What I can say, without giving away our competitive advantage and inside information, which eventually this will all come out, but the realities are our costs are incredibly low. The costs you saw on, what was it, 2 years ago when they put out that first awful incorrect information, those were from an early business plan where we were just projecting rough costs. Now, the way I do projections is I always try and say, okay, what's the maximum something can cost, and what's the minimum we think we'll make? And that way, in my mind, it ends up becoming a worst case scenario. So what you guys saw for printing and shipping and all of that sort of stuff is way overinflated. I can tell you, for instance, like an entire container coming over from China, 40-foot container is only like $3,000–$4,000. That's it. For so if it takes even 5–6 containers for everything, even 10 containers, that's we're talking 30 grand. So it's not an immense expense on shipping like we thought it would be. We were also concerned about the shipment, a lot of which Toys R Us has alleviated a lot of those woes. Our printing costs, we didn't have those finalized yet at that time, and even with the bags involved, they're less. So we're much lower than what you guys saw on those projections. So it's certainly not 50 cents. It's way less. Was there a deal finalized with China Mobile Game and Entertainment? We don't talk about deals again until they're finalized. So as soon as that is finalized, we will tell you. Revenue streams, as I said, we'll be factoring a lot of our revenue streams But really, 2005 will be a vastly different year. Um, let's see. Well, we consider doing a buyback in the future. It's possible. Um, we did do a buyback, but it really it didn't have a huge effect on things. And frankly, we probably should have used those funds for other stuff. It ended up getting absorbed. So if we do that again, it will be with in such a way that it'll have a severe impact. So not ruling it out, but no current plans. Um, will we be profitable out of the gate? It's all signs are pointing to it being profitable right out of the gate, but definitely breaking even. Um, let's see. How many advertiser slots have been filled? Um, we're currently, it's looking like we're at about the halfway mark for what's there. We have a month and a half. You guys saw with the free comic book day, which was wildly successful. It was actually quite amazing how successful that went over. And even the extra books which we took to San Diego Comic Con were a huge hit. But um, the those ads were filled within about a week. So Chris Longo having extra staff and a month and a half, us coming out of these recent deals with advertisers, he's going full bore. So he couldn't really get anyone signed up because the number one question everyone had, he's making a lot of relationships, but the number one question everyone had was, where will the books be? They want to know distribution, and we kind of hinted, but now we are able to fully say, here is where they are. Average CPM of $33. We're in line with a lot of our other people, a lot of our other competitors, where it fluctuates based on whether it's open rate or yearly rate, etc. So they can go anywhere, like a yearly rate could be anywhere from, let's say, $25 for an interior CPM, which is $25,000 a week on the low side. We haven't had anyone sign up for that yet. All the way up to as much as $35 a CPM for an interior page. That being said, there are also things such as double page spreads, which are premium, inside cover, inside back cover, insertions, onsertions, all these sort of things. There are sponsorships that change and fluctuate. So that's what makes it a little hard to say. Looking at any other news. Um, some people are asking about the Japan Needs Heroes update. It's actually almost done. My wife is the production director on that. She actually was literally even at the show editing. So um, people literally, anytime someone would have questions about that, they could see, oh, well, there's the book. So that will be coming out shortly. And I believe that's all of it. I want to say thank you guys once again for coming. Um, Hopefully this was informative. Don't want to beat around the bush. It's been a long road. It's been a tough road, but I appreciate all of you for believing in us, believing that we're real, seeing what we had brewing and working on, and you know, uh, it is coming to fruition. We can certainly see where we're going. I'm reading the books that are coming out, and the creative on them are amazing. Able to work with people like Brian Augustin, uh, who is just a phenomenal writer and editor, um, and Mark Castle, and David Lawrence, and Nigel Rayner on Wayward Sons. We're in the company of giants, and all of these people love comics and love the industry, and it shows in the creative. It shows in what we're doing. These aren't gimmicks. They're not gimmicks. This is not us trying to just be a fly by night. This is us building something that truly lasts and truly excites people. It's amazing to me to sit there and see people at the show who, as they were getting it, like, oh, Tesla, this is awesome. People coming by asking, when's Dual Identity coming out? That actually happened. It's it's a satisfying thing for us to see that this is all coming together. And we couldn't have gotten here without each and every one of you. And I want to say thank you. So as always, really, we're on track. Everything is actually, in many instances, ahead of where we thought we would be in some of our ancillaries. We'll learn more very soon on all of that. We have some interesting new revenue streams that are coming your way beyond movies, beyond video games, beyond the free comic book line. Um, there are new revenue streams that we will be announcing shortly. So we've got a lot of great stuff coming, and I want you guys to rest assured we're working hard and nonstop. So thanks again. Onward and upward.